All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Hibike Euphonium, Season 2, Episode 3.
Last week, in the Battle of the Beatles, we had a new competitor show up onto the scene and make a really strong opening set of moves.
Quite so, and Reyna was utterly defeated.
And, the person who did those moves probably doesn't even realize she exists as competition to be defeated.
Of course not.
But, do you think they're going out?
Yeah.
But we also had pool stuff. We had conversations with our new characters and everything. And most importantly,
some stuff with Nakagawa as well.
Yes, definitely.
Yorozuka.
Which is always appreciated. Yep, Yorozuka. That conversation was wonderful with the rhythm game. But at the end of the episode, we had Kumiko stealing herself as she went to go confront Asuka.
Yeah.
This will be interesting.
Quite so.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I'm very much a fan of this type of what could be melodrama, but something that was built up from previous stuff. So it's like a next step of the previous year's drama debacle that happened, and seeing how that plays out for people that actually remained in the club through that process.
The people connected to it directly, and then the people indirectly connected to it, but now they're a part of the wind ensemble, and there's the whole struggle of things, with the previous season.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, we feel like we're a part of this, and we wanna help.
And Nozomi wants back, but
what's the situation? What's holding Asuka back?
So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this.
Okay, I feel like since we got that lead into the OP, I'm now fully starting to get to the point of accepting this OP, because that was one of the things that happened with the first OP, and it worked really, really well.
Yeah.
And now that we're getting it, I'm like, okay, yes, this is indeed the OP.
Yeah, for me, it's just this whole visual opening bit here. I'm.
You want to see all the color and the light reflections.
Yeah, but not only that, this blue box, the polka dots. I'm not feeling it. Here we go. Here we go.
Right.
Yeah, then.
I saw a meme that was talking about how bards actually should be combat classes, and they talked about how badass people in band have to be, and won't take no shit from anybody, and it made me think of this show.
Yeah, they need to have amazing breath control, which has got to translate to good physical abilities. And amazing stamina.
Right, amazing stamina, amazing form, while carrying something heavy, and doing something strenuous, if it's a long, walk and march.
Not all of them are carrying something heavy, though.
Right, yeah.
Speaking of breathing.
朝のミーティングは全員で呼吸、発声練習を行う。では、10回投資に移ります。投資で演奏するというものだ。2曲
Just repetition, okay.
12分、160分以上はかかる。
Oh boy.
Seriously,
I can imagine.
Dead.
And then we'll do 10 more.
ちょっと吹いてくるかな。
Wow.
じゃあ夕食の後に。
All right. Oh, that was a nice transition.
That was a very cool transition, yeah. No. Nope. Keep that tempo. Sustain, man. Sustain it. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Oh. It's blurring. Oh, yes! Yes! She's in!
Yeah!
Yes!
Okay.
Oh!
Yeah!
You did it! Well done. Oh, so proud. Oh.
けどね、一言で言うとぶっちゃけつまらん。ロボットが吹いてるみたいなんだよ。
So what do I do differently?
君はこのソロをどう吹きたいと思ってる？
Oh, she's got a
何を
solo.
感じながら演奏してる？
ミカ好き。
じゃあもっと三日月感出さないと。でもこのソロはクールでは困る。世界で一番うまい私の歌を聞いてくらいじゃないと。ほらトランペットのソロの子みたいに。
Oh. Okay.
Oh no, he's going a bit off here.
Yeah.
でも表現力が足りない。それが彼らとの決定的な差だ。北氏はどんな。
At least here he's kind of talking to the whole ensemble.
たまにはいいこと言い
Yeah.
たまには余計だろ。
Yeah, it definitely became better as it went on. It wasn't a targeted bit of like
Yeah.
direction that turned into. Okay, yeah, but that's good. That's good. Okay.
お腹すいた。お風呂遅れ
That trail off.
Yeah.
あれはみぞれが上手だから。
Oh.
上を目指してほしいってことでしょ。
Way to go, Yuko.
私花火の時に滝先生に聞こうと。
Wait.
お前ちゃん。
That you wanted to talk to me? Yep.
はい、私のぞみ先輩に約束したんです。ちゃんと真相を聞いてくるって。
Yeah.
そんなこと言っちゃったの？
She's so good at deflecting here.
Uh-huh. Constantly answering with questions.
お前ちゃんはどうして私が参加しないと思ってる？聞いてるのは。
Don't know. I
Yeah,
asked you.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
まあまあいいじゃん。あの子、のぞみちゃんのことダメなのよ。顔見ただけで気持ち悪くなるぐらいのトラウマがあるらしくて。でものぞみちゃんは自分がそう思われてることに全く気づいていない。
Oh.
Right. We've noticed that there is that kind of aversion, but we don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing entirely.
覚え吹けなくなる。戻ってくる。
Doesn't that seem like a bit of an assumption on Asuka's part? Like,
私もそこまで鬼じゃないよ。
even though it's definitely the truth that there's a reaction, it's negative, but why though? Yeah, we can't have them quit. Yeah, yeah.
どっちを優先すべきかくらいわかるでしょ？というのが真相だけど。どうする？
Huh.
Well. Oh, fireworks! Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
振り回しちゃダメだよ。こんなに綺麗なのに。
Yeah, yeah.
なんか久しぶり。
They're like the boring, safe ones who punch
Right,
it
right.
at the dirt ground, you know?
Yeah. Sparks.
Kirei.
捨てに行ったら心の準備ができる。
Oh. we know, we know.
Yeah.
戻ってきちゃうよ。いってらっしゃい。
Godspeed.
あの子滝くんのこと
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I love it.
Of course.
Just there all
Oh,
of a
no,
sudden.
no, not at all.
でね、一応僕も大人だし、
そうですか。
奥さんがいなくなって
Oh.
ずっと
Oh, no.
Oh God.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Wait, what?
Yeah, 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 exactly.
滝先生、奥さんいたんですか？
Oh, that. Yeah.
Stay, stay, stay.
Tell me more. Yeah.
まあね。
5 years
Oh,
ago.
jeez.
何ですかこれ。滝くん、奥さん亡くなってから抜け殻みたいにな
Oh.
って音楽からも離れてしまって。
Because she played music too? What instrument do you think she played?
Let's not even go there.
指導を手伝ってほしいって言われた時は、
Oh,
Right,
the sensitive
this is-
guy.
Yeah.
That means he's serious about it.
Right.
He's committed.
He's starting to. Oh man, the way she's clenching her fists
Yeah,
like that.
she's probably building up to actually asking.
Uh-huh.
She's just asking him questions and
Right,
general
right.
stuff.
滝先生、付き合ってないって。
Yeah, of course. They're just peers, yeah.
そうなんだ。
He's one of the few people here he could talk to casually.
話してるんだって。
Oh.
よかったね。
Now Kumiko, I don't think has told her.
No.
Yeah.
No, of course not.
Yeah, yeah.
No, of course not.
Oh boy.
Kumiko knows so many things now.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Who's she gonna tell what? And
I love how they were animating her hair moving just as a result of her breathing.
yeah, of course. This freaking anime is so this does so much. Yeah, even the backgrounds look so like.
Now she's out here in case Yorosuka.
ことが好きなの。理由があるんでしょ。何？なんかある。だからあんたが関わるとこんがらがるから関わるなって言ってるの。それだけ。ねえ。
I need like a freeze frame of a couple of those like individual frames where she's freaking out.
Yes! That is amazing!
Stealth 0. Like
That was some Kronk like. Oh my god.
私のこと嫌い？あ、嫌いというか苦手。あ、もしかして不大会のこと引きずってる？可愛いし優しいし、もうやばい。何そのリアクション？今のは突っ込むところでしょ。あ、冗談。
God, Kumiko's so awkward. I love it.
But you say because of her.
For her sake, yeah. Yeah.
夏希先輩にもちょっと聞いたことがあります。
The helping.
でも知ってるんだ。さすがだな。
Yeah.
あ、言っとくけど、夏希には内緒だからね。クールってなんだろうなって。中学最後の大会は今でも納得してるわけだし。でもそれは結果が悪かったから、コンクールは優劣をつける。金、銀、銅。この曲を自由曲に選んだ時点で難しいとか、演奏以前の話を評価シートに平気で書かれたりすることさえある。ただ去年みたいにみんなでのんびり楽しく演奏しましょうっていう空気がいいかという。
Yeah.
上手い人が吹くべきだと思う。
Okay.
先輩それって
Yeah, yeah.
好き嫌いじゃなくいいっていうことなんじゃない？はい。
Oh.
Oh, that little giggle in the
Yeah.
delivery.
ちょっとね。
Yeah, stuff.
なんでそうなるの？
No, not
関係ないじゃん。音楽は金銀銅とか勝者だけだと思う。下手な人がいても負け惜しみでしかないと思うし。
Sure.
True.
だから結局。
Get good. Kumiko is going to be like,
Oh, yeah.
during today's practice.
結局全然眠い。
Oh my gosh, no.
You know, she's.
UFO？
Oh, Asuka.
That's a shot.
Oh. Wow.
その曲はどこか不思議で温かくて寂しくて
Yeah, lonely,
幾重に
definitely.
も重なった感情が込められているようだった。
You gonna answer? No.
And the next piece begins.
Yeah.
I feel like this episode had a much more relaxed pace. Like, it's like, okay.
Oh yeah, definitely
Like-
more relaxed pace, but tone,
Yeah.
there's a bit of worry and I would say like a bit of nervousness about it. Like we had Asuka kind of dodging the question. We had Irena dodging the question. We had Kumiko dodging, kind of passing along the answers.
Right.
We had the
Yuko
helper.
dodging Nakagawa's interrogation.
Totally. We had the assistant teacher kind of giving a little bit of a, hey, so, yeah. Well, he was married.
Yeah, he
you
was
know.
married. And she died 5 years ago. That really makes me wonder how old Taki is.
Oh, he could be really old, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he could be like old compared to them.
Right.
He could be like 37, you know, like. There's a couple people who I know who, when they look like they're like 35 or what, like when they are 35 or whatever, they look like they're like 27 or something. And I could see Taki being as young as like 25, but also as old as 35, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I can see it. Wow. Okay.
yeah.
So
we now know what is kind of the issue here,
Right.
even though we already kind of knew this a little bit with regards to Yoroizuka, is that Yoroizuka feels sick to her stomach and just like is incapable of functioning when
Nozomi's
Nozomi
around.
is anywhere nearby.
Right.
And we know that it's not just sight or just the knowledge that she's there, but also hearing her music.
Yep.
So the way she plays. So that ties in really well with some of the stuff that Yoroizuka brought up to Kumiko in the previous episode about whether or not she likes competitions and how she hates them.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. And not to go into theorizing early, but just to throw out this connection.
Yeah.
There's a possibility that Yoroizuka is aware of why Nozomi isn't being allowed back into the wind ensemble, right? That it could be because of her, right?
Sure.
And if that's the case, even if like that's a whole other basically set of possible combinations and ways for the relationship dynamic to be complicated without it being just like, oh, they hate each other's guts, or you know, maybe
of course
Nozomi hurt her in the past really badly, or you know, or something like that, right? I get the feeling it has something to do probably with the whole competitions thing, hence why, you know, she brought it up. But
right, and there's two big aspects of this as well. Is that recently Yoroizuka being involved with the wind ensemble just went into a competition that they succeeded at.
Right.
But when they were both in Minami Junior High, they had a silver, which they were very upset about with regards to that competition.
Because they were supposed to be like the really, really good school.
Yeah, but at that time, Nozomi, I believe, was making a bit of a promise to Yoroizuka that she would, like, do her best, like, in the previous competition.
I believe that was...
I can double check. But I believe, was that in episode 1 or 2?
It was in episode 1. I can't remember if it was Yoroizuka or not, but...
yeah, it was one of the other players in Minami High talking to Yoroizuka.
It was Yoroizuka. Yeah, and she was really discouraged. And that... So this is something that is important to bring up then.
Yeah.
Given that at the time when they did the competition,
they were
for
friends.
Minami Middle School, they were friends, right? And she looked up to her, and you know, at the very least, there was the connection was positive. There wasn't. I think I'm going to vomit because I hear their music somewhere close by. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So between that point and this point, something happened. Right?
I think the big thing is that Nozomi quit. Because she made the promise back in junior high of I'm going to go for gold, but then when she was denied the opportunity to play because she was a first year
kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's something where you led me on basically with the idea that we were going to go and take this seriously. Yeah, and she did. She did not quit. And the only reason why she didn't quit, I would say, is because they absolutely had to have her play because she was the only oboe player.
She had no reason to quit, right? Yeah, exactly. Other than if she just wanted to quit because Nozomi quit, right? Because she actually was getting some pretty good recognition in the wind ensemble. Now, one of the other things I want to bring up, and this is an assumption based off of a character archetype, right? But given the fact that Yoroizuka is a very quiet, reserved person, right? That's
very much so.
We have seen her, however, it's not that she is actually a robot, like, you know, how the one guy said her playing sounded like.
She does play like one.
She does play like one.
Yeah.
But it's that when she's interacting with people that don't have her trust, then she acts a lot more like that. Because when she was talking with Yuko, she was very like, you know, like engaging, like
we're talking marginal degrees with regards to
but
it's also to scale for her rather than for just the average person.
Yeah, the average person. But still, you know, a marginal upscale for absolute zero, you know, is like it's still a lot, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if it was something where basically she's not necessarily very trusting, right? She's emotionally reserved, but she does open up with people that she trusts, and at some point, Nozomi was that kind of person, and then hence why the hurt was so bad. But
Right. So the way you're bringing it up here is that because of her response to Nozomi's presence is so reactive, it is so dramatic.
Yep.
That means that she cared so much to the point where this kind of a reaction is actually warranted, because with everyone else, she does not give any strong emotional reactions to much of anything.
Yeah, like the only other what I was thinking.
I thought she was like practically in love with her.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, that could totally be it. Yeah. Because the only thing that I was thinking it could have been before then was some kind of like Nozomi would have had to have been just like really, really absolutely awful to her, and that's why she has like this, negative response. But that's not the case,
there's
right?
No way that's the case. If anything, she might have interpreted something like her quitting as being the equivalent of like a really rough breakup, where it's just like you promised me we'd do this together. You promised me we'd go to the competition to make this happen, but now you come back because we're succeeding in a competition,
right? And because
means it's not about me, it's about the competition.
And because Yoroizuka is such a soft-spoken, quiet person, it would make sense that one of the biggest struggles, conflicts, whatever issues that she would have in current or past relationships would be regard to not communicating. So if there's something where there was a lot of, like where she's like, yes, this is awesome, we're going to do this together, it's going to be great, and then all of a sudden she leaves, and it's well, I guess you didn't. We had different understandings of what was going on here,
exactly,
right? And then I find out in the worst way possible, kind of a deal.
Yeah, and I would love to find out also that her oboe playing was not always this way.
Yep.
That she's more doing it in this lifeless way right now because it's a representation of how she feels. So she is being expressive.
Yeah.
One of the things that they've done, I would say, rather well in this story is that every time someone plays their instrument, they're revealing their emotions through their playing of the instrument.
Sure.
Asuka has a whole moment in the end of this episode where she's playing this soft, somber, lonely, but really like inviting piece here. But you can see on her face that she's not
sad.
Happy.
Yeah.
But she's not depressed. It's that she just seems like she wishes like things could be better.
Yeah, it's not morose, it's melancholic.
It's hopeful. Yeah. It's like why? I want to dream again. I want things to be brought about together in a. This is like I wish the family was all sitting around the table together, but I can't do anything about this.
Yeah, this is the place where she goes in order to drop the facade and the shell on the outside that she does for the sake of the wind ensemble and for the sake of the prez, and then it's so. How do I it almost feels like she's doing it also to like emotionally process of like all right,
and
and it's also practice, and it's beautiful, and she loves the youth and things like that, even when
she's the addict of
she is the addict
here.
When they do the 2.5
47-page essay on
but when they do the 2.5 hour or whatever like practice segment, and then Taki's like, all right, let's take 20, take a break, and she's like, 20 minutes, I guess I'll go practice on my own, because she just always wants to be playing the youth.
And this episode felt like just nervousness the episode. I mentioned this a bit to Jacob. I think it was either during the reaction or in between the reaction and the recording. But everyone is nervous about something here. Kumiko is like trying to build up the courage to go talk to Asuka about this. We've got a bit of Reina nervousness surrounding just the Taki situation, which we get some pretty interesting exposition regarding that.
Indeed.
From the college friend.
But yeah, it's a lot of things going unsaid. Between all sorts of different character relationships and dynamics and things like that, and with many different reasons for why things are going unsaid. Sometimes the reasons for it are positive, right? It's the I don't want to hurt this person by saying this thing, so I'm going to keep it to myself, right?
Totally.
And then in other situations, it's the I don't know if I can work up the courage to say the thing that I want to say.
And it leads to the point where Kumiko doesn't sleep a whole night, basically, because she's so nervous about all this. Now, because of that, the jitters, she ends up overhearing a Yuko and Nakagawa conversation, which I'm really glad that she did, because it gives us a little bit more understanding that not only is Yuko really aware of what's going on with Yoroizuka because she's friends and they come from the school from before, but it's allies that well, they could be allies in this situation, but they both feel like they're supporting the other person, and because of what's not communicated through the two of them, they can't actually help each other here. Thus, Yuko's stonewalled Nakagawa and being like, no, because you know, even if I do tell this, you're so gung ho about Nozomi that you don't care about you won't care about Yorozuka's feelings necessarily.
And given that Yorozuka is not exactly a type A assertive sort of person, she would probably get walked all over.
Yeah, that's the part, though, where I feel like everyone is making the wrong assumptions here.
Oh, yeah?
There are people that are doing things for other people without communicating necessarily on screen with us about whether that person wants them to do this stuff for them.
Absolutely.
This is something that I want to go a bit off on here, because this is a very realistic, I would say, form of trying to show someone that you care when you're younger like this. Is that you believe that if your intentions are good and you're trying to protect someone or you're trying to stand up for them in some way, that the methods that you do with it can't be wrong because of the fact that you do care about them.
Yep.
However,
Yuko is definitely that kind of person.
Yeah, there's a couple people that are in those types of situations right now. Yeah. It is very important that when you're doing this for someone, you actually ask them at some point, if you've been doing it for a while, hey, do you mind that I'm doing this? Because sometimes they'll just be like, actually, please stop. I've been reading, like, sometimes they'll bounce into the effects of you doing that and the people around them. And they'll be like, I have to deal with that now because I don't know what you're doing around me. Thinking that you're protecting me or something.
Right,
like
and that was very much the situation with Kaori back in season 1, where it's like, hey, I know that you care about me, Yuko, and all that stuff, but this isn't helping, right? Now, in the situation with Yorozuka, who knows, right? Like with Yuko, she is definitely doing the whole thing of, I'm going to do this because I believe it's in her best interest and things like that. But, you know, who knows? Who knows? Like, it almost feels like she wants to protect Yorozuka because she almost sees her as maybe being fragile. I'm the fact that
you're reading into that a little
I think
bit.
I think I am reading into it a bit much. The fact that it was the weirdest thing. It was when they specifically said that the oboe has a 4mm opening or whatever.
Okay.
Like at the end, that really felt like it was potentially communicating something about Yorozuka as a character.
I feel like,
but that's totally reaching for me.
Let's just go with she cares about her.
Yes.
That's all the reason she needs, right?
Right. Yeah.
And they're old friends.
Yeah, she cares about her, and Nozomi is someone. Nozomi's presence is one that causes Yorozuka to suffer, right?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, right? Whether in the long run that's something that needs to be faced, or whether it's something that needs to be, kept at a distance.
Right.
That's the reality of the situation, and Yuko is responding to that, right?
And I understand how you would get fragility because she gets sick, physically sick when she heard
that is a
Nozomi play,
yeah.
which feels like a fragility thing. I just feel like that's definitely like a potential half of it, but the other side is that she cared so much about Nozomi that the response is the other side of the pendulum. The swing all the way back to the other side, so that because she's avoiding it.
Right. She would have to have cared about Nozomi at some point in order to really have this kind of response, unless Nozomi was just absolutely awful.
Was absolutely awful, which is not that that is not the read that we're getting from Nozomi, because we've had plenty of interactions with Nozomi.
Right. One of the other things, though, that I think is really interesting about how this whole dynamic sort of plays out is that for Yuko, it's very much she's thinking about Yorozuka, right?
Yeah, it's very simple for her.
And then you have Asuka, who isn't actually.
She's thinking about the club.
She's thinking about the ensemble, right? And the idea that, I'm sorry, like,
if we don't have an oboe,
that's a big problem, right? So I can't let this happen, right?
Yeah.
And that's
simple, like, strategy, basically.
Right.
Why would I throw away something we have one of for the opportunity to get a fifth of something?
Right. Yep.
Or whatever.
And in the case of Asuka, even if it was something where it would, in the long run, be good for Yorozuka to confront the whole situation with Nozomi and actually face it and things like that.
Yeah.
well, sorry, we're in the middle of practicing for a competition.
Yeah, it's not worth
it. You can deal with personal stuff on
your own time,
right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But not right now.
Exactly. Why do you need me, Asuka, the kind of whole thing of why do you need my blessing in order to make this happen? You could go to the president or Taki and be like, I would like to petition that I come along just to help.
Which makes it very interesting that Nozomi was specifically wanting Asuka's blessing because that makes me think that that she knows that Asuka is privy to the reason,
exactly.
That makes me think that Nozomi knows why Asuka isn't letting her join, right?
Exactly.
Now, it could be something where she thinks it's that Asuka holds her some ill will or whatever because of quitting the previous year.
Yeah.
And maybe if Kumiko tells her that, then that will alleviate some of those concerns. But then there's the whole thing of, okay, Yoroizuka, how do you want to handle that situation, right? And hopefully, if this all goes well, maybe Kumiko will be able to facilitate communications and then things will be able to be resolved in a good, healthy way and with them still being able to do the competition.
Yeah. First things first, that would be is that Kumiko needs to talk to Yoroizuka and just without bringing about immediate confrontations of any kind and just be like, hey, so what's the deal? I want to hear about it from your perspective. Go around and get it from the people, the parties who are involved in the direct way. Get their perspective on things there, and then go to Nozomi. Because Nozomi, I feel like, has a perspective on things that might be different from everyone's. And everyone's assuming certain things about this because, well, they have to be because there's not enough communication.
Right.
Everyone's in their parties, which leads to cliques and then drama and rumors and all this shit. So this is why I hate gossip just in general, is that gossip is basically the attempts at passing along info without actually having real communication. So then all this misinformation spreads and then people act on the misinformation.
Right.
And it creates really toxic environments.
And the information is being spread not with the best interests of the person who the information is about at heart.
So there's no guarantees regarding people's intentions at all.
And in this situation, all the complicated drama that we have here, it's something where I could see people potentially watching the show and being like, okay, does it really matter about this drama and stuff? Let's get back to the competitions. Let's get back to the love life drama or whatever, right? I
don't know. I think this is like perfect, right?
But this is excellent because it's the way it's so complicated. It's like, I believe that this could be real people, right? Yeah. This could be something where some of the people that were making this, because I don't know if Hibike is anime original or not, but I could totally see it being something where the people that were writing this show, right, and this whole part of the narrative and everything are like drawing specifically from like high school drama that they had. Like
right, yeah. I think also the incident being the previous year, you can generate infinite amounts of story just off of that. I think that's probably what happened, was they looked at the drama of the previous year and just were like, okay, now let's fill in backstories of characters and what's some natural conflicts that could come out of that. And the way I feel like I'm echoing what you're saying, that this feels so natural, it feels so realistic, is that there's no one conversation that solves the whole thing. Right. A lot of times when this type of melodrama happens, the reason why people don't like it is because if two people just spoke and said like 5 words to each other, the whole thing would collapse in on itself. But there's no two characters. Like if you took Yoroizuka and Nozomi and had them just talk, there is no guarantee that anything good would come from that. That is the best potential outcome. But from what we've seen here, you have to roll a really lucky, thing to get it all to work.
Well, and given the kind of person Yoroizuka is, there was no way she would actually do that. If she gets like it would take some insane motivation, like external, internal, all that, in order to get it to happen. Because if she is almost throwing up just as a result of hearing her play in another nearby room, right? Then actually having a conversation and confronting her about it, or having that open, honest dialogue.
Right.
Good luck.
And also remember, Nozomi has no idea about any of this.
Yeah.
That's the part that makes this really, really complicated. Is that it is not that Nozomi can just go up to Yoroizuka and be like, what's the problem? Because she doesn't know there's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a really big part of this.
And that's kind of
That's
Asuka's,
a really big part of this.
in a lot of ways, that's Asuka's job, right? Is to basically say, hey, if there's any potential conflict, whatever, things like that,
Yeah.
I will be the manager of it, right? I will be the one that people interact with, and they'll see my charming smile and my, all that stuff, right?
Yep.
And that's how it will be dealt with, right? Because I will be the one that will take the high road. I will be the mature one, the whatever, so that way the all the conflicts that would arise in a group of people like this, just as a result of there being a ton of people put into the same room and then needing to practice really hard for this competition and things like that.
Put a bunch of effort into it.
And the worrying of will it be enough? Is everyone else trying as hard as I am? Like that is just a recipe for
drama.
All kinds of drama and chaos,
totally.
right?
Yeah.
So you need to have the people that actually are going to be like, okay, no, for the sake of the whole and the group and everything, I'm going to put a damper on these things. I'm going to be that check and balance. I don't know why. But the
mediator.
The mediator, right? Exactly. So,
but she's not right now. She is being
she's making a decision.
She is making an executive decision based on it being not worth it for the club.
Right.
If Yoroizuka ends up dropping the play, dropping her ability to play, or does not have the emotional stability to play, where I actually feel like this is something where Asuka hasn't really talked to Yoroizuka about this much at all.
Oh God, Asuka and Yoroizuka having a conversation.
No, I know, but that's the thing. I don't think that they necessarily have, because one of the things that we know as the audience with our third-person omniscient perspective here is that Yoroizuka was somewhat maybe moved a little bit by Nozomi's promise to go for gold next time. When they go into high school together, a bunch of people quit. A bunch of first years. Potentially one of her peers and or friends, Nozomi, quits as well. During that time, Yoroizuka stays. Now, I would say, personally, that Yoroizuka probably didn't stay out of some, love for the idea of competing for gold.
Right, she said she hates competition.
She hates competitions, right?
Yep.
But if one of her friends and peers and other schoolmates and stuff quits, why did she stay? What is she getting out of this? Well, I would say not much anymore. We see how she plays. It's lifeless.
Yep.
So, something in that moment there was so powerful, or something so diverted her from her original course.
With when the first years quit?
With when the first years quit.
Gotcha.
Because probably, Nozomi quit as well. But I don't think that Asuka knows, based on the way she talked about this with Kumiko, the exact reasons as to why she's actually sick to her stomach.
Oh yeah, I don't think so. I wholly, fully believe that Asuka doesn't actually know. In a lot of ways, Asuka is a cold enough kind of person that she probably doesn't care.
But that's the thing.
It's the thing of, this is a situation, and apparently that's a thing, so Wind Ensemble, for the sake of it, here's what we're going to do.
But if she is doing this part as her job, and this is the part where she's leading in, then I think she is majorly dropping the ball by not communicating with Yoroizuka, because there are things that she could potentially learn from Yoroizuka if they actually talked.
Okay.
And I think that that's where Asuka is maybe in a little bit of pain regarding this. Yeah, that she doesn't want to deal with it. Remember, she was the one that stayed neutral and did nothing when everything fell apart in the previous year. That's why she looks at as the president as her hero,
right?
Because she struggled and fought through it, and now Asuka is taking everything super over the top now to be like, yes, this is going to be a great year. Nothing's going to go wrong. So anytime she feels like something's going wrong, she's maybe avoiding it as well.
Sure. We also know that Asuka has a very low level of patience.
Yes, tolerance.
Yeah, she has a very low level of tolerance for other people being
bullshit.
for bullshit, and other people being immature or whatever, or doing things that'll pull down the group, right?
Yeah.
So when she goes to that field or at the top of the hill or whatever and plays the youth by herself in the like really early in the morning, and of course Asuka's the kind of person that would wake up like crazy early, crack of dawn kind of a thing, just cuz. But that the impression that I got was that it was her own kind of coming to terms with a resignation. That something that maybe and this is where I'm going to kind of go a bit more specific, but resigned to her frustrations about how certain things go, about how certain people do things or whatever, the situation that she is in, right? The maybe lonely situation that she is in, right? She can talk about the kinds of things that she has to deal with to the Prez, basically. But even so, her job is to kind of make it easier for the Prez, right? To kind of take the bulk of all of the day-to-day things so that way the Prez can focus on the more
directing kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's got to be exhausting.
Yeah. I think that Asuka needs to talk more candidly with people. And given that her candidness is actually a part of her cold charm, if you will, shows that she wants to do that more.
Right, but there's something holding her back, because when Kumiko started to talk to her about it, she answered her questions with questions like 6 times, right?
That was actually aggravating for me.
Oh, yeah. Like, and like the whole idea of trying to like deflecting, but also trying to do it as like a diffusing of the situation of like, hey, let's add levity, things like that, right?
Or like, you don't want to bear this burden. I'm like, whoa. She came here.
Well, she can decide for herself, right?
That's the kind of thing of where I feel like Asuka is falling into the same trap that, that the other characters are, that she's basically assuming things about other people. She's like, I'm protecting you.
Well, I would say it's telling of how Asuka sees her own job.
See, so is that so ironed in that that's her job necessarily? Because I feel like she's taking on that.
Yeah.
Like, because she's so gung-ho, I can't tell what's exactly her job.
I feel like it kind of is. Like there's there was a point, and this is a weird comparison, right?
Okay.
But there's a show called West Wing, right? Where it basically focuses on like the White House and it, sort of like political drama with the setting being the White House, right? And there's the person who's actually the president, right? And it's like, okay, the president's got all these big things to deal with. But the person that always seemed to me to be the one that actually had the toughest job and also was one of the most powerful people in the White House was the person that was the you go through me to get to the president, right? Because it's I make sure that the president doesn't hear about all the chaos and the ridiculous things that are going on right now, other than the most important things, so that he can actually deal with it.
Okay.
And I feel like that's kind of Asuka's situation here, whether that's because it's what she actually needs to do that, or it's because she's taking up that mantle, that job.
I think she's taking on that mantle because of how badly things went last year. But she's overstepping her bounds with regards to how she's doing it.
All right. I like it.
Because she's so obsessed with things being perfect.
Right. Because things went so badly last year, she's like, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to do my job this year because I didn't last year, maybe.
Was it even something that she did last year? Like, if anything, she would have been a second year last year, so that it wouldn't have necessarily even been her.
Yeah, she probably wasn't even the assistant.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like this is just her stepping up. Regardless of last year. Last year she didn't step up. Here she is.
Yeah.
But in doing so, she's found herself to be a bit lonely. She doesn't know how to communicate when she's dealing with the problems,
And the
no, she does. She tells the president.
Right. She tells the president.
She tells the president.
But it is something where the times when people are the most blind to a mistake is when they believe the thing that they're doing is covering up for something even worse, right? And so it's the I can't okay, maybe I'm in this ditch over here, but I'm not, at least I'm not in that one, because that one's much worse, and as a result, I won't take the issues that are coming up in this new situation seriously, right?
Totally.
Like I won't give them the proper time and attention because it's better than that, right?
Totally.
And so it's almost like a vice, right?
Sure.
And I could definitely see that. Well, vice president of the club. Yeah. Anyways, I could definitely see that being Asuka's situation here. And given that this is something where we're getting this in episode 3, this makes me very curious to see what's going to be the progression of the characters over the course of the season. Because while we could get like multiple like arcs of like drama that come up, I feel like this is going to be sort of the overarching sort of tone of the season, for establishing the character conflicts and everything. For Yoroisuka, I feel like it's fairly straightforward, getting to know what the situation was with her and Nozomi, and her learning to accept that, deal with whatever emotional turmoil or things that she has going on the inside.
Yeah.
Nozomi, similar situation, but from the other side. And then for Asuka, if these kinds of things that you're bringing up are basically the signs that we are going to get Asuka focus and development in this season, I am all for that, because Asuka,
we saw her play alone at the end of the episode. That's
exactly. Yeah, if that happens in the show, that basically means that like they're getting character development, right?
Yeah.
Because with the first season, when we started this show, right, I was like, Asuka, she seems like such a fun character, right?
Yep.
But also, she was sort of set up as the kind of character that was sort of perfect, over the top, right?
Yeah.
Has everything figured out. And there are a few things that I enjoy more than seeing the character who believes they have everything figured out, or makes everyone else believe they have everything figured out, then actually starts to realize, come to grips with the fact that they still have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
That journey of growth can be, I find it very satisfying to watch.
There was a thing with Yuko when she was talking with Kumiko that I really liked, was that she brought up the whole thing with Kaori. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a really cool connection there. But I'm like, I get it. Yeah, you love Kaori. But she brought up something that I thought was rather relevant. She said, well, second years last year, we had a bit of a rough time. I thought long and hard about quitting the ensemble. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then she says, I found a reason to stay. That was Kaori. But Kaori-senpai gave me a reason to stay. What I just kind of thought about there for a second is that in the last year, the previous year, there were a lot of people that quit, right?
Yeah.
Nozomi was one of the people that quit. I think that what might have happened is that Yoroisuka might have been thinking about quitting along with Nozomi, but then thought about actually the fact that she's needed as the oboist.
Right. I'm not going to let Nozomi down by
Exactly. We are going to go for gold, and I'm going to go for it, even though she quit. I'll carry on her desires there, so I can't quit here. So she stays. But her reason for staying was Nozomi, and Nozomi's no longer around. So when Nozomi comes back, it's that thing of, I already went through that grief. I already went through that loss. So why are you ripping open my heart again by coming back and maybe not directly going to me? Because this is the part that I think might be...
Did I really mean that little?
Right. I think this is the part that might be a little bit painful, but it's also it's an unfortunate side effect of her being such a quiet, reserved person, is that Nozomi doesn't necessarily know that Yoroisuka might have really felt so strongly about that.
What details of it were.
Yeah, exactly. So Nozomi is just blissfully unaware.
Yep, and she was the president of the Minami Middle School Wind Ensemble, so it makes sense that she could have said something as like an inspirational, motivational, like, I'm still being the leader, right? And not necessarily maybe realizing how big of an impact it could have had on Yoroisuka.
And if Yoroisuka's thing is that she wants Nozomi maybe to come to her first, but she's then going to everyone else basically but her, she could maybe feel like that Nozomi's avoiding her.
Sure.
And that kind of miscommunication or lack of communication could lead to more problems, in where Asuka's right in that we need to really they need to deal with this there. Let us do our competition. Stop trying to make this about the club. You quit. So there's some interesting ways they could take this, but I thought that this was a cool parallel potentially to how things went better with Yuko and Kaori compared to how things went with Nozomi and Yoroizuka.
Sure.
But yeah, Yuko came off in a really good light this episode.
Yes, she was. Yeah, Yuko wasn't exactly the most likable of characters in season 1. I totally understood where she was coming from.
Oh, totally understood.
But you know, but not exactly the most likable qualities being put on display, right?
Right.
In this episode, she was great. Right, it was awesome. It was awesome. I loved where she was coming from. I felt like I really understood her, and the things that the situations that she really cared about, that she was addressing in the way that she interacted with the other characters. I feel like she handled it a lot better. She had a better understanding of it, and her feelings on the matter, and as a result, it was a lot more sort of level-headed.
Yep. And then she has her passing line at the end, which I think is another one that's potentially relevant. It says, ultimately, if we're going to enter the competitions, meaning if we're going to do this at all, and participate in competitions, we should do it right and go for gold, shouldn't we?
And then she does a pout face.
Yeah. But does this, in some ways, feel like this could be kind of related to Nozomi's promise? In that next year we'll do it right and we'll go for gold.
Oh, okay.
And that's the right way to do this. But then Yoroizuka says she hates competitions because the only way to do it right is to go for gold.
Oh,
And thus Nozomi quits in the previous year because they're not doing it right. So the competition tore Nozomi away from the situation.
Yeah. As far as directly sort of what happened, that is like
that's an interpretation.
Right. It's the whether that was the whole picture.
Totally.
Those are things that happened, right?
Yes.
As a result of the competition, Nozomi ended up leaving. Right.
And
so
how
of
they
course
were handling
Yoroizuka
the
would
competition too.
Right. So of course Yoroizuka would be, disposed to hate competitions.
And then we get Reina talking about how much she loves competitions, but she does put a positive face on it. Like she wants to like competitions.
Oh.
Like she kind of brings up the thing of like, well, a lot of people will say you can't really judge music using gold, silver, and bronze, but I think only winners should get to say that. When bad players say it, they just come off as being sore losers.
That whole set of lines was really good.
Right. So in the end, the only thing to do is to get good.
Right.
Besides, you don't get many opportunities to have a lot of people listen to you. It sounds like she's more saying like, because of those things, I like competitions. But it's also so I must like competition so that I get the opportunity to have people listen to me and have that voice there.
I personally disagree on it. I feel like it was something where she was basically saying, I understand why people don't, right?
I agree, yeah.
Especially with everything that happened in the previous year, or not previous year, previous season, and then also today, or in this episode, when the one teacher started making comparisons to her as far as like, hey, play like her, like you need to do your solo like her. It's okay, I don't need that noise, So yeah, it's like Reina realizes what's going on. She realizes that's probably something that makes other people like competitions less. And she could definitely see that if she were in their situation, that would probably be the same way for her too. But
yeah, she does
the things but she really likes competitions. So.
Yeah, but she does say this. I want to be positive about them. This is the part where I feel like it is what you're saying, and that she's saying I understand why people don't like them, but is also saying I choose to like them, or I choose to be positive about them. So in that respect, it is something where it's not about whether or not you like or don't like competitions. She likes them, of course, because on the very basic note, I get to have a lot of people listen to me. That is a very rare opportunity to have a lot of people listen to me play.
Yep.
But all these things lead towards people being selected by a process of either you're good or you're not.
Right, and oftentimes it's the I can't remember whether it was her that said it or whether it was Yuko. I think it was Yuko, because it definitely had a lot more of that sort of like jaded, or not jaded, but like a chip on the shoulder, kind of an edge to it, of a lot of the times the judges make decisions and things like that, and there's no real good reasoning for making the decisions, right? It's a okay, yeah, you give out the gold, silver, and bronze and things like that, but they don't really care, right?
Yeah, so by judges who'd write things like, you were doomed from the moment you chose this piece, on the evaluation sheets without a second thought, regardless of how well you performed.
Right.
And if your performance is judged inferior, all that effort you put in doesn't mean a thing.
Exactly.
Basically saying that there could be something as simple as, well, because your director chose to have this piece be put in, it's not ambitious enough for us to even consider it compared to the people who did...
Yeah, or it's too ambitious, and how dare you tread on this hallowed ground,
Right. You overstepped basically the capacity of your group, so you ended up looking worse than you would have if you had chosen a simpler piece. So yeah, there's a lot of things going into this that feel beyond their control. That's why I like this from the sports anime perspective, because it is so team-oriented, and yet every single piece is integral. So while their overall performance is the important bit there, the single oboist that doesn't, do their part with gusto or with life can hold back everyone.
Right, it's a finely tuned clock. Everything needs to be, just clicking on perfectly.
It is a machine.
Yeah, like this very much feels like the dynamics that get gotten into in this show. Like, if you were to take, because the two biggest sports shows that we really have for reference is, Ippo and Haikyuu, right? And the big differences between those two shows, primarily from what I see, is that one is a solo sport, boxing, one is a team sport, volleyball, and it's all about those connections in volleyball.
Right.
In this, it's like the difference between Ippo to Haikyuu, but from Haikyuu to this, right? Because it's not only are you in a team, but you're in a team that's so big that one, you can't really know all the other people in that team. You cannot know that they're doing their best and things like that. And if any of them mess up just a little bit, it can completely throw away all of your hard work.
Yeah.
Ain't that a bitch?
So here we go.
Yep.
Drama.
And so the next piece begins. Yep. Before we end the discussion, I do have to give special shout out to the comedic bits from this episode. This show always manages to throw them in there in just
so
some of the
awkward.
best ways.
I love her.
The Kumiko noises, but yeah, the hiding and having the little bit that goes around the corner, that was a good setup for the wall bit,
so
right?
Fun.
Because that feels like something that a little kid would do, right? Because I remember when I used to do that, and then I realized, oh no, people, just because I can't see them doesn't mean they can't see me. And then, be very careful about angles and stuff.
Oh,
but then,
goodness.
no. Panicking? What do? Just stand against a wall, Hope that it's dark enough that it just isn't paying attention or doesn't see you, whatever.
But this is anime, Kumiko. We can't have dark scenes at all.
That's right.
We have to see all that color.
Yep. We have to
be wasted.
We have to make sure that the audience can see exactly how Reina's hair moves as she takes breaths in and out, right? Because it's not just a still image. Why would we do that?
Yeah. We're not going to try and hide our glorious animation.
Right. And then things like, Reina's oh yeah, we didn't even talk about the whole fact that Taki had a wife 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, but that's just some cool exposition about the fact that
that's a thing.
That's a thing.
Have fun deciding whether you're going to tell Kumiko or Reina about that.
Yeah, it'll get brought up again.
It'll get brought up eventually.
Yeah.
But
we can talk about it more.
Yeah, the visuals for this show are incredible. We can't say it enough. We say it all the time, but it's that good.
Yeah. So. Y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there. All this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info is in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.